Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas, Sanchos and Sanchas. Welcome to the Takeover Sports Show. I'm your host, the King of LA Sports, Richard Lopez, along with Kurtis T.
How you doing? What's up, Rich?
How you doing, my man?
All right.
It's nice to have you back.
Thanks. Good to be back.
Yeah. Well, today is our Super Bowl special, and we got a lot of things to talk about. But sticking with NFL, I wouldn't allow myself to go any further without bringing up this latest breaking news. That is honestly probably the best news I've heard in years. There could possibly be a new NFL team, or not new, an existing NFL team coming to Los Angeles. And that right there is great news to me because I've been waiting for a Los Angeles football team. As the King of LA Sports, how could I not be wanting a team in Los Angeles? But the breaking news is it's nothing that's set in stone or official yet, but the owner of the St. Louis Rams, Stan K, I don't want to butcher his last name, he has purchased 60 acres in between the Forum and Hollywood Park racetrack, which is possibly a setup for a new NFL stadium. And bringing back the St. Louis Rams wouldn't be my first choice, but it is my second. So what do you think about that, Kurtis? Are you excited about that?
Yeah,
As a Niner fan, are you excited about that?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. That means I don't have to drive up to San Francisco to watch a game.
You can root for your team.
Around the corner.
Yeah, you go for it right then and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of details that go into that. Like the Rams have another year, one more year in their lease in St. Louis at the Edward Jones Stadium, and the city is not wanting to pay the money the Rams they need to build a top stadium. You have to have a top 8 stadium to stay in St. Louis. It's in the contract, and the city's only offering $124 million, but the Rams say they need $700 million. And then that's a big difference in cash right there. I would honestly want the $700 million to make my stadium look a little bit better. But this is good news for LA sports fans. It looks like the Rams might be coming back. The owner, Stan K, has a lot of real estate developments in California. Make a lot more sense for him to come to California. And I could not be happier. I couldn't be happier, man.
So what you're saying is we might start seeing a lot of Ram jerseys again.
Oh, yeah. And to be honest, my Raider fans are going to boo me, but the Raiders started out in Los Angeles, and that's why I love them. So if the Rams come back and they're the team we cheer for in Los Angeles, as the King of LA Sports, I'm going to have to pledge my allegiance to the St. Louis Rams. Hopefully they have a little bit better team, but their team's not that bad this year.
They're in the toughest division in football, the NFC West.
NFC West, yeah.
And they did pretty good. I mean, they can handle themselves against anybody in the NFL. Anybody.
Yeah, and I mean
they beat the Niners last year. And Niners didn't beat them at all last year. They tied one game. Damn.
Like what?
Not this year. Not this year, but the recent year.
Yeah.
The following year, the previous year, they split one with the Niners and tied one with the Niners.
Yeah, if you're going to be in the NFC West, then you got to put together a solid team. And that's why they're thinking about there's a few rule changes they want to make. They're saying they don't want, the NFC least, as you like to call them.
Yes.
If their records are 8-8, then they want to bring in teams that have better records into the playoffs. Because it just doesn't seem fair to the teams that go like the Cardinals, where they 10-6, as opposed to teams that are 8-8 getting into the playoffs. That's not good business, if you ask me.
And they're also thinking of expanding the playoffs. So 2 extra teams can get in, so the teams that got left out, like the Cardinals or Cowboys, who also went 8-8. Cowboy fans, maybe finally you guys can get in the playoffs.
Like I said before, he said it, not me. I'm not the one saying it. It was Kurtis T. That's the one. He's
I'm a Cowboy hater. I'm a true Niner fan. So any true Niner fan, in my book, has to be a Cowboy hater.
Well, I won't get into too much detail, but you don't have to be a Niner fan to hate the Cowboys. You can be a Raider fan or any other team sport fan to hate the Cowboys.
Yeah, a lot of people hate the Cowboys.
But in their defense, a lot of people think they're the most, the most annoying fans in all of sports, but at the same time, I give them a lot of credit because they rep their team and they rep them to the end.
Yeah,
so I give them credit for that. That's not a lot of people hide when their teams aren't doing too well.
Yeah.
Raiders, Raiders. But yeah, it's hopefully the LA will get a team because I've been waiting, man. I would love to get some season tickets, show up. Man, it would change everything.
Tailgate on Sunday.
Tailgate,
Tailgate in L.A. on Sundays, because you know you can't do it at Dodger Stadium anymore. I mean, you only got USC. You could pretty much tailgate.
We haven't had a team since 1995, and in that year, the Rams and Raiders both respectively left at the same year, and we've been naked. I like to say naked of football ever since, and it just sucks. But to try to cheer you up a little bit, let's talk about the championship game last week, the NFC championship game.
It was a tough one.
Yeah, the Seahawks. I wouldn't say they didn't dominate by any means, but they pulled out the victory against the 49ers. The Seahawks and the refs took out the 49ers.
Well, for the second year in a row, you can say. Actually, the third year in a row, the refs pretty much took us out. But I can't put it all on the refs. The Niners led pretty much for 3/4 of the game, and they just didn't have what it took to hold on to the win in the fourth quarter. You got to give Seattle credit.
Oh, yeah.
Being down, they still fought hard and put up points against a tough 49er defense. And they earned home field advantage by having the best record in the NFL. I mean, it's the best defense against the best offense going in the Super Bowl. So, I can't really complain. Even though I'm a diehard Niner fan and I would love to see my Niners, I got to give it to the Seahawks. Yeah, they deserve to be there.
Wait, what'd you call them?
The Seahawks.
The Seahawks. Okay, no bitterness over here, right?
Just a little.
Okay, so the Seahawks, they ended up winning. They're going on to the Super Bowl. Peyton Manning last week, 2 weeks ago, he actually conquered some demons and took out Brady and Bill Belichick in the AFC Championship game. And I would say they did it pretty convincingly.
Yes, I almost changed the channel.
Oh, come on, it's football. You got to watch it till the end. I understand your pain. Try being a Raider fan.
I know. I give Raider fans all the. To me, they're the toughest fans in the world. If you see a Raider fan, you know they're not a bandwagon. You know they're diehard because, I mean, you guys don't really win. So if you see a Raider fan, that's a true fan.
Yeah, no. They're some of the most diehard fans. I'm telling you, it's not for the weak at heart to go to a Raider game. You got to deal with these fans, and I have a buddy that wore his Steeler jersey to the game, and he had told me he had never experienced so much hatred in his life, and I don't blame him. I admire him for going to a game with that Raider jersey. And another issue, a long time ago, my brother, who is a Kansas City Chief fan, he actually went to a Raider game, and he was wearing his Chiefs jersey, and he was sitting in a private box, and people were throwing stuff from outside into the box, hitting him, and he was wearing his Chiefs jersey, and I never understood why. But, hey, if you rep your team, you rep your team.
Yeah.
You got to rep them to the end. I just don't like when it gets violent or people start taking it to that next level. I don't mind all the talking because people talk all day, and we can get into that later. There's a lot of haters out there about your boy, but we get into that later. But, yeah, I admire the guys that represent their teams, like Cowboy fans. A lot of people say they're annoying, but they rep their team till the end, and you got to admire that. That's real good. I appreciate that. But since the Broncos won, the Seahawks won, it's probably the first time two things. The first time that teams that used to be in the same division are now in the Super Bowl against each other. Because I forget the year, but back in the day, the Seahawks were in the AFC West.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day. I forget what year they switched, but it was like a little over maybe 15 years ago, something like that. So now it's the first time two teams that were ever in the same division are playing in the Super Bowl. And also, it's the first time, and it possibly could be the first game the game that's the coldest, because they're saying it could possibly set the record for the coldest Super Bowl of all time. And what do you think about having the Super Bowl in a cold area like that? Roger Goodell seems to like it.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. I mean, even before they chose New Jersey to host Super Bowl 48, there was a lot of critics saying no one wanted to go even watch a Super Bowl in the cold. But something new, and I mean, the teams playing in the Super Bowl, they don't care where they play. But I don't agree with it.
I think I can see both sides, because if you're a good debater, you got to see both sides of everything, You got to look at both sides. And what I see is, the thing that doesn't make sense to me is Roger Goodell implemented all these new rules to make the NFL more exciting, more passing. That's why they're breaking all these records because the rules are more strict. But then you take away the excitement by taking away these guys' game in a cold weather environment where it possibly could snow, a lot of wind. You take away that excitement from the fans.
Well, speaking of Roger Goodell, we're also practicing all this safety awareness, and playing in weather games like that also higher risk of injury.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense. But, hey, it's the NFL. Everyone's still going to watch, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm even going to watch, and I'm heartbroken from last championship game.
Yeah,
I'll tune in.
I was super upset. I think it was last year with the replacement refs. I was like, oh, this is garbage, this and that. But I was right there every single week, watching every single snap, whatever I can do. My NFL Red Zone, everything. I'm watching all the games, studying them, even though I'm pissed. I'm yelling at the screen, but I'm still there watching. They got me.
Yeah, but early this year was the first time I think ever in my life I said, the thought came through my mind where I didn't want to watch the NFL anymore. Like, the refs are getting that bad. They control the game too much. They have too much power in their hands. I'm hoping next year they do something about the officials and their bad calls. Maybe we should challenge their calls.
Yeah, the word is they're going to, instead of having the officials make the on-field call, they're going to send it to a booth where they're going to have officials in one area. They'll review it, and they send what happened.
Kind of like baseball?
Yeah, just like baseball.
Okay, yeah.
They're going to look into doing the same thing, which is good. It takes some of the pressure off these refs. They can kind of see it without everyone screaming and yelling and all the pressure of the coaches in their face, trying to convince them to make a call.
Control,
yeah, exactly.
Because, we see too many refs, it seems like they control. And, a lot of people believe these refs make wagers on these games. And with all the power they have, I would too if I was a ref. So take a little power away, and maybe less bad calls.
Yeah, that's true. The refs, they do have a lot of power. Like a few years ago, remember that whole scandal in the NBA?
Yes,
where the referee was working with the mob. And I want to say a big thank you to that referee. If we can get back to camera one, thank you to the referee. The game in question was the Lakers versus the Sacramento Kings, and the Lakers won the Western Conference Championship. So even though it was wrong, I'm saying thank you to the refs because you got us to that NBA title.
If you're watching this in jail, you heard it from the king of LA sports.
Thank you. We'll take it any way we can get it, Look at this season. This season, as Laker fan, makes you appreciate all the other seasons as Laker fans. Hey, so they want to help? Hey, I don't blame them. The Lakers are one of the most popular franchises in sports. So, okay, let's get off the basketball subject real quick. Right. But back to football. So we got the Seahawks versus the Broncos. I'm going to let you go first. Let me hear some predictions. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think earlier we both agree it's pretty much a toss-up. But I'm going to go with the Broncos. I feel Seattle, they're not the same team at home, even though they got that great defense. Number one defense taking on the number one offense. I normally always side with the defense, but I'm going to go with Peyton Manning and the offense this time.
Okay, there it is. It's official. Kurtis T has picked the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning.
Over the Seahawks.
Yeah, we can get into a little bit more detail right now. But as far as I go, Pete Carroll, when he was at USC, I was a big fan of his. And, I appreciate all the accomplishments that he's put forth for USC in its program. But at the same time, Pete Carroll left us when we desperately needed him the most. We got the bans and all that stuff, suspensions, and he just took off. He was gone like something in the wind. He was gone.
Turned his back on you guys.
Yeah,
real
he turned
quick.
his back. He straight out turned his
quick.
back. And if you know me, there's one thing that I really take personal is that when you turn your back on someone in a time of need, that right there does not fly with me. That's what shows you a true friend, true colors. And yeah, when you turn your back on someone in time of need, that's about as low as it gets. So yeah, with that being said, I know my Raider fans are going to boo me for this one, but I'm definitely going for the Broncos. Peyton Manning, he might possibly be the greatest quarterback of all time, definitely of this era. So, and I got a buddy, we were arguing when I was, getting my hair cut, Unique Barbershop, Carson, California. Check him out. Me and him were going at it and arguing. He was telling me Tom Brady's better, and I say no way. And the reason I say no way is because when Brady got hurt that year, and he got hurt, the team still went 11-5. Peyton got hurt and missed the next year with the Colts, and they were the worst team in the league. I think they had 1 or 2 wins that year, and that's when they ended up getting Andrew Luck. Yeah. And I believe Brady's more of a system quarterback, and if you put Peyton in Belichick's system, I think Peyton might have 7 rings, 7 or 8 rings. But yeah, so my pick, I'm picking the Broncos. Peyton Manning, it's the best offense versus the best defense in the NFL. It's probably one of the only times where the NFL has had the 2 preseason favorites actually meet in the Super Bowl. So it's the best offense of all time versus the best defense, but it's not just the normal best offense. It's the best offense possibly of all time. And you can't say Seattle's the best defense of all time. So it's a little bit different. I think Seattle, they're tough, but I don't know if they have enough weapons on defense to deal with all the weapons that Peyton has. Peyton's got Eric Decker, Julius Thomas, Wes Welker, Demaryius Thomas, and Julius Thomas, Wes Welker, and even Caldwell is stepping up for the game. No, Sean Moreno has rushed for over 1,000 yards. So I would have to say the Denver Broncos are going to take this one. And yeah, it's crazy. Although Pete Carroll, he could become the first coach to win a national championship and an NFL Super Bowl in 1 year. So that would be a great accomplishment for Pete Carroll. But, at the same time, I'm still upset about turning back on someone in time of need. Chip Kelly did it to Oregon.
And he probably was the reason why all the sanctions and bans happened in the first place.
Oh, yeah. And they got to make a rule of that. If a coach is part of everything in college and they get disrupted and they can't just leave like that. They should suspend them from coaching, not just in the NCAA, but in the pros too. You can't just run away from a team like that. That's not cool at all.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. And, it wouldn't be Super Bowl weekend without a little bit of trash talking. And who better to trash talk than Richard Sherman? He had a few choice words to say about Peyton Manning. You hear about this?
Yes, Richard Sherman, straight out of Compton.
Straight out of Compton. But don't be classifying. He's straight out of Compton.
He's not a thug.
Yeah, everyone's calling him a thug.
Thug.
And if a thug is considered someone that goes to Stanford, graduates with a almost a 4.0 GPA.
I want to be a thug.
I want my son to be the biggest thug out there. I want my son to be on Thug Life. West Side. I want him doing all that stuff. Because if that's what's considered a thug, then hey, I want my son to be a thug. Because my son will then be a Stanford graduate. And yeah, that's, the things people are saying these days it's kind of borderline racism, if you ask me. But I do understand, a lot of these people have never been in, I played football in high school, and you say things and do things in the heat of the moment. And these things, you can't help it. You're hyped up, you're pumped. I bet you Richard Sherman wouldn't see Michael Crabtree on the side of the street right now and start saying the same stuff. It was all in the heat of battle. Exactly. You say things you don't mean. And, just like sometimes when you argue with someone, you argue with a buddy, friend, girl, you say things you don't mean. Yeah. And so it's just all in the heat of the moment. But I have no problem with what it was. Some people are saying it's disrespectful, it's this, it's that. I don't think so.
I mean, even me being a big Niner fan, and I don't really care too much for anyone on the Seahawks, I didn't disagree with it. He won. He's going to the Super Bowl. He's excited, a lot of excitement. The only thing I did kind of have a problem with is you could use that in a different way. Don't start talking about another player.
Yeah.
Especially to camera. If you're going to talk about that player, keep it on the field to him. Now, if you're going to brag about what you did and your accomplishments, that's fine. But when you start talking about another player, that's like doing it behind his back.
Yeah.
Almost man up and tell him. That was the only problem I had. And I still think people blew it out of proportion. It wasn't that big of a deal. He's going to the Super Bowl.
And to be honest, him opening his mouth has kind of got him some endorsements.
Yes,
they said, the Dre Beats, they're saying he's estimated to make about $5 million just off endorsements Super Bowl week. So, hey, his mouth has gotten him into a little bit of trouble, but he's getting paid, Sometimes, you gotta, and he's the type of guy, he says what he means and means what he says.
Sure is.
And it's not the only thing he's been saying. He's also called out Peyton Manning, and this, give it to his credit, it was a month ago before he knew they were playing each other in the Super Bowl. So he called out Peyton Manning saying the ball gets to where it needs to be, but he throws ducks. What do you think about that? Is that true?
Yeah, I think he's been throwing ducks since he had his surgery. I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but he has no spiral on his passes, no tight spiral at all. But like you said, they get to their destination, excuse me, and they hit their point.
Yeah, and Go ahead.
And they look good. And, I mean, what? He threw for over 5,000 yards again this year, 55 touchdowns. So the Ducks must be the new thing.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, you know, Tebow might have made it.
Yeah, exactly.
Tebow might have made it, you know? And, but yeah, I mean, Peyton's response was, you know, yeah, I throw ducks, but I throw them for touchdowns,
yes.
Which is true. And to be honest, I've watched Peyton his whole career. He's always thrown the duck. He's always thrown that duck pass. But he's real smart. He makes you think. It's like having an extra coach on the field.
Exactly.
And you can't replace that. Like, that's something that the Seahawks do not have.
Yeah, they don't. They have Russell Wilson. I mean, he's nowhere near as cerebral as Peyton Manning, but he does have the athleticism that can help them out. But it's not going to be enough. You know, Broncos are going to handle this, and I'll be happy because I don't want Seattle to win a Super Bowl before Harbaugh and Kaepernick. No,
Yeah,
I don't want that to happen.
Seattle, I mean, they haven't really had too much to cheer about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to let them go for it, you know? I've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of people are saying Seahawks fans just started popping up out of nowhere. But I'm going to give them some credit. They didn't build that reputation in Seattle just off of nothing just recently. It's been like that for a few years now. Pretty much since Carroll's got there, they've actually built their rep on defense. Carroll, he designs some nice blitzes, and he's been known to do that. He's a defensive coach.
Yeah, he turned the franchise around, no doubt. Yeah, it's been I've been seeing fans around for about 5 years, but a lot more have popped up the last 2 years. I would agree with that.
True.
But Seattle fans they're pretty much diehard all around. If I'm not mistaken, they got one of the best soccer crowds in the MLS.
Yeah.
So, you know, Seattle fans are known to getting rowdy and acting crazy. So.
And that I understand. But the one thing I don't understand, if Seattle's so passionate, what happened to the Supersonics? Where did the Supersonics go? Come on. What happened to the Seattle Supersonics? They went to Oklahoma City and left. So why couldn't they use that passion? Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, the glove. Come on. That's what I didn't get. They took the team out of Seattle. So if they're so passionate, then why? But then again, I shouldn't be talking. LA lost 2 football teams, and we were selling out every game.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I guess it's just politics, but
well, Seattle's hoping for another basketball team soon.
Yeah,
I know they just lost the bid for the Kings, but
yeah, and it actually looked like they were going there.
Yeah.
So they've actually they're starting to build up their sports franchises, and I forget the guy's name. The owner, he's one of the guys who's I don't know if he's the owner now, but he was the one who developed Microsoft. Went with Bill Gates. He owned the Seahawks, and since that time, he's actually been there trying to build up the city sports, and he's done a good job. You know, I'd have to say the Mariners, they're starting to be in the mix, and they're doing their thing. Like you said, their soccer team, the Seahawks. So you can't really complain. Seattle is they're a good sports town.
Yeah.
You know, I got some friends
agree.
out in Seattle, so I got, you know, hopefully. Well, I'm not going to say hopefully because I'm not wishing the Seahawks are going to win. I picked the Broncos, and one of the main reasons is that all year long they've played some tough teams, but they literally have never seen no one like Peyton Manning. They haven't seen anyone like him, so that's the issue I have, is the Broncos, they're a well-tuned machine, possibly the best offense of all time, and their defense only gets overshadowed by their offense. Their defense is pretty good.
Their defense is all right. They should be able to withstand Seattle's offense because Seattle doesn't really have too many weapons. If they shut down Marshawn Lynch like they did LeGarrette Blount, they'll be all right.
Yeah, and that surprised me because, well, then again, I don't know. I forget how many attempts the Patriots gave, but they shut down. They shut him down, but then again, he's not Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Marshawn Lynch he's beast mode. He's in
a
a league of his own. And another thing, shout out to Marshawn Lynch. He got finally his long overdue deal with Skittles. Yeah, he's a few $1 million deal with Skittles, tasting the rainbow.
Yeah.
So thank goodness he got that deal because he's been promoting them for years already, and he's finally getting some money to show for it.
Yeah, they were selling in the NFC Championship game. They had a special combo you could order at the game, and it came with a side of Skittles.
Oh, really?
So I'm pretty sure he's been helping in sales too.
Oh yeah, they gotta love him. Like parents don't love it because all these kids out there are gonna want to eat Skittles. So, Hey, could mess up the teeth, but that's going to make the dentist around Seattle a lot more popular.
Yeah.
They'll probably be raising their rates too.
I think Marshawn, he got the gold teeth. Anyway.
Oh, it don't matter.
All right.
The funny thing was, I seen him too. They showed him on the sideline. He was eating his Skittles too, but he hadn't scored yet. I thought he only got him when he scored.
He's trying to jinx it.
He was trying to jinx it, but hey, Lynch is a beast.
Yeah,
and my only issue with Seattle is, I know they're a great team, but my only issue is that they've gotten in a lot of trouble with their PEDs. I know last time we did a show, I showed that picture on the screen, with the little injection right there. But they've gotten into a lot of trouble, and I didn't. I think at some point, if the certain amount of it's different. Like if 1 or 2 players get in trouble, that's you gotta let that slide. But when there's like 7, 8 of these guys,
secondary,
the whole secondary getting in trouble, then you got to go to the leadership. You got to look at the coach. And that brings me back to Pete Carroll. He had his issues at USC. He has his issues in Seattle. But he's winning, and I guess that's what matters most around in sports.
Winning while cheating.
Winning while cheating, but the one thing I've learned about when you cheat, you always get caught.
Yeah,
you will always get caught. Eventually get caught, whether it be at the time, 10 years down the road, it'll happen.
Well, speaking of the Skittles and PEDs, while we were watching the NFC Championship game, I had a little joke. Alex Rodriguez. They said he was juicing up with the gummy bears.
Yeah, the gummy bears.
I was joking around. All them Skittles, check them Skittles for PEDs. Check the Skittles for
I haven't heard that, but that's very true. You never know. It could.
There's a reason why he's beast mode.
There's, we're all. That's why we do this. We're entitled to our opinion. Yep. We're not here to be politically correct.
Exactly.
If we did that would be boring.
I don't really think he's taking PEDs, Marshawn Lynch. I'm just being a Niner fan and being funny.
But that's something, if they're going to start checking these guys all the time, and I think the teams that get in trouble, like the Seahawks, they should probably be tested more than others.
Or give them like college. When college programs get out of hand too much, they get no bowl games or no playoff games for you. Something like that to make them not cheat. Too many players are cheating, and it's not right.
Yeah, I don't think the NFL will do that.
Yeah,
they won't say, "Hey, you guys are undefeated and you can't go to the Super Bowl." But, I understand where you're coming from. I think the players, like, what they did was right with Brandon Browner. He got suspended for the entire season because, these guys are taking that stuff and they become dependent on it. Just like A-Rod.
It goes down to the coach, like you said. If you're not going to do it unless you feel comfortable in your environment. And Pete Carroll must make them feel comfortable taking PEDs.
Yeah, look at him. He's probably on some PEDs. That guy's hyped up. He's more energetic than a lot of these young coaches out there. He's running, throwing passes before the game. No, I'm not saying he's on anything. I'm just making a joke. But he's more energetic, or maybe that's what it is. Like, when you see your leader enthusiastic, spirited, that rubs off on these guys, especially when they're getting paid millions of dollars. You got to find different ways to motivate them. If you're going to get out there yourself and start running and get all crazy, shout out to Ric Flair. If you're going to start doing all these things, you can energize these guys, man. Like, that's why Harbaugh's Harbaughs are good coaches.
What they have in common.
They're energetic, And we'll leave the Seahawks alone for now. They're a great team and they have a good chance of winning this year's Super Bowl. But we're both picking Denver. Do you have a score?
Yeah, I'm going to go 27-17, 10-point game.
27-17. Okay. I think I'm going 28-24.
All right. So you think Seattle's going to score that much?
Yeah, I think Seattle will score, and it might be on I'm not necessarily saying their offense is going to score like that, but I think their defense might get a pick six, paying through that pick six in the Super Bowl against New Orleans.
If Seattle's defense score, Denver does not want that.
No.
If they allow Seattle's defense to score, they're hard to beat. When Seattle's defense scores, it's hard to beat.
This is what I think is going to happen. I think Peyton and the Broncos will jump early. They'll score some quick touchdowns, and when you score quick touchdowns on the Seahawks, that eliminates Marshawn Lynch because then they're worried about the time. And Peyton is a great clock manager, probably one of the greatest of all time, clock management. He's probably not going to fool the Seahawks too much, and if he does, it'll be fool him once, fool him twice, and you can make up your own saying after that, but they ain't going to fool him 3 or 4 times. It won't happen. He's too much of a veteran. A lot of these, it's hard to stop those quick slide routes that go right across the middle, And I think Earl Thomas was saying that he's looking to say something, get our chancellor they want to get back at Wes Welker. They thought it was a cheap shot that Welker did on Talib. Keep Talib in
no doubt a cheap shot.
Cheap shot, and they're looking. Don't be surprised. They'll take the 15-yard penalty to eliminate someone out of the game. That's nothing.
Yeah.
So
they'll do it. If they said they're going to do it, they're going to do it.
Well, they didn't come out necessarily and say that, but that's kind of what I'm getting at. I think that's what's going to happen. And, hey, I'll take 15-yard penalty to take Welker out of the game.
Well, I know if I'm playing and I see now that Wes Welker is capable of such an act,
yeah,
I'm going to do it to him before he does it to me.
Yeah, and, and that's what the Broncos, they're specialists at that. They do those slide routes, and it's hard. How does a linebacker? Those are linebacker coverages when they play zone. How can they keep up with Wes Welker? It's impossible.
Yeah, the little pick and roll route. Yeah, I never liked that route. I think they should almost ban that route because it's pretty much an offensive. The play is designed to set up an offensive pass interference.
Yeah, I'll tell you how they ban that route. And Lord forgive me for saying this, but you take the guy out. They do that. Yeah. You give him the cheap shot. You take the penalty. You hurt him. I'm not condoning violence, kind of am, but you got to take the guy out. You make an example. You make an example of someone, then the league will look into changing it because they're all about safety.
Exactly.
I mean, if anyone, the NFL they're all about safety these days, and I'll give you a reason why. They're looking to implement medical marijuana for the safety of players, and if they're going to look into that, they'll do anything.
Yeah, anything. Wes Welker, now offensive players are taking out defensive players. 10 years ago, wide receivers would have thought twice before they would run through the middle like that because defenses didn't have to worry about and almost aim where they got to have to hit. So they're making it too easy for the offense and way too difficult for the defense. They need to try to balance it out a little more.
Yeah. And do you have anything else you want to get into about the Super Bowl? Do you have any other, what players do you think are going to be, who's going to be key for the Broncos to take a win?
It's going to come down to pretty much a matchup between Peyton Manning and the Seattle Seahawks secondary. Pretty much that's the game.
Chess match?
That chess match between them. Whoever wins that battle, well, if it's Sherman or Earl Thomas or Peyton Manning and Wes Welker and the Thomas receivers, whoever wins that battle will win. Running, Marshawn Lynch might get his 100 yards. They don't really have no passing attacks. So, if the Broncos just let the Seahawks get their running and shut down Russell Wilson, they'll be all right. And no turnovers. No turnovers.
Yeah,
do not let Seattle score.
This is what I do. And, I like to watch some game tape. I've been known to watch some game tape, do it like the pros do. But this is what Seattle loves to do. They love to get a lot of people in and out. They like to make switches. They have a package for first down, second down, and third down. They bring the big boys in on first and second, and on the third down, they try to bring those rushers. So if Peyton can run that no-huddle offense and keep these guys off the field, if it's third down and they keep the ball rolling, Seattle might get caught trying to rush people on and off the field. And Peyton, if he notices you guys changing a lot of packages, he'll exploit that.
Yeah.
And he'll do it with a passion. Oh, bringing it back old school with a passion. So, Peyton will exploit people if they try to run on and off the field. And I think that's the key to them. If the Broncos can time a possession and if the Broncos can keep the Seahawks guessing as to what they're going to call. Because Peyton's known, they call him the master manipulator.
Oh, yes, he is. He pretty much changed the whole NFL game. All these quarterbacks doing all these checks, Mikes, Omahas. That's from Peyton.
Yeah, I heard an interesting quote from Trent Dilfer. He said that when he was playing, quarterbacks were making play calls at the line of scrimmage on a 5th grade level. He said nowadays the hot shot quarterbacks, Brady, Manning, Rodgers, Breeze, they do stuff at a grad school level.
Yes,
you gotta really know what's going on. Peyton's famous for Omaha. They even have lines in Vegas about how many times he's gonna say Omaha. So that stuff's famous. But a lot of people say that's just a bogus call. It makes people's head go when they start. No, he's gonna do this, gonna do that. But Peyton, like this, he's a master manipulator, and they say that he likes to. For each series, he picks a defender, and he likes to find out their tendencies on every series. So by the second half, he knows how to play them.
Yeah, he knows who to pick on, when to pick on, and how to pick on. I mean, like you said, he's very smart. He doesn't have that big head for nothing.
Yo, I'm not gonna say nothing because I've got a big dome as well. But big domes mean big knowledge.
Yep.
That's what I like to think, or that's what my mama told me. That's what my mama said. All right, well, okay, it's official. I'm sorry, Seattle fans. We're both picking Denver. You know, chances are we might be wrong, but you know, with all our stats and statistics and everything, in our opinion, that's what we get up here for, to give our opinion. So in our opinion, we think the Broncos. Sorry, Raider fans. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to boo me. It's all right. But, you know, my gut and my instinct is telling me to pick the Broncos. So it's official. We're both picking Broncos, and I believe that is all the time we have for you today. I appreciate Kurtis helping me out, you know, doing the show. You want to introduce your show next week?
Yeah. You could catch, Rich will be on the show, King of LA Sports. You could catch us next week on Now You Know.
Now You Know. Now You Know. I'm going to be on Now You Know.
Now You Know.
There we go. Oh, watch my flow, because you never know. Don't open the door. All right, that's enough. That's why I'm not a rapper. But all right, that's all we have for you today. You tell everyone, you want to give them your information?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at badlove10. Email tinmanmac@gmail.com, and you could catch me on my YouTube at Kurtis Thomas, where you can see my show, Now You Know.
Richard Lopez, King of LA Sports. It's so good that they all know me. You can find me under the King of LA Sports on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Like the page, subscribe to the channel. Rich Lopez, KOLASE on Twitter. And that is all we have for you today. Until next time, I'm here to remind you, when you live life rich, you will never be poor, and never, never, never be afraid to roll the dice.
Roll 'em.
Have a blessed day.
See you next week.